Everybody, we are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Uhuru. Thank you so much for joining. Hold on, let me get the banner rolling. There we go. Bam. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. As you enter the chat room, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe. All that good stuff. Also, make sure you go to dynastymirror.com. Make sure you go to dynastymirror.com. Also, bless the church. Hit that Cash App. It's right there on the bottom, scrolling by. So make sure we need your tithes and offerings to the church. Okay, we need your tithes and offerings, and then also go to Amazon.com, buy a book, sales book, Sales Motivation 101. Get off your ass a cold call, and then also my children's book, The Son Loves Me. I will be releasing another children's book tomorrow, so you guys stay tuned for that. But we have a special guest with us today. It's been a minute. I'm glad to have this brother back on. My brother, Kala Genesis, aka Kala Thanos, you guys. And tonight's topic is the Civil War amongst Black conservatives. Just this. It's just this civil war going on. I didn't know much about it. Actually, Kala brought it to my attention because I've been focused on this and my other projects, so I haven't really been keeping up with what's going on. But I saw a hilarious video. I mean, it's funny, but it's sad at the same time because you have a lot of these Black conservatives that like to posture themselves as being, not like the other Black folks, those Black folks over there in the Black community. But they'll come out real quick though with the Black conservatives.
Mm-hmm.
It'll come out real quick. So, so I guess, Colin, there's a civil war going on. It's really in regards to the brother who was jogging, Aubrey. What's his name?
Aubrey. Aubrey. No, it was Ahmaud Aubrey.
Ahmaud Aubrey. Yeah, and my thing is, anybody that can justify that,
Nobody. No.
you can't justify that. But you have some Black conservatives trying to justify that. I mean, listen, I live in a neighborhood called the West End here in Atlanta. Okay, this neighborhood about 4 or 5 years ago, you had what was called zombie houses. I mean, because before this, I mean, the neighborhood is gentrified. So before gentrification, I mean, this was the hood. So, during the transition, you had the zombie houses. What happened? The slumlords who are ready to cash out, they'll kick their Section 8 tenants out. Then they'll slowly start renovations. So, of course, people in the neighborhood who were interested in seeing the renovations and how the neighborhood was coming up, we will peek inside the houses. I mean, that's just normal. You'll even walk in, and you'll peek in like, oh, okay, they're gonna put new granite countertops and, brand new wood floors, and they're gonna do, oh man, that's awesome. And even, that was just normal.
Mm-hmm.
But you got some people trying to treat this like this man was gonna go in there and all I saw in there was nothing but wood. There was not even any drywall up.
Nope.
So it's like, what is he gonna steal? A bunch of just wood planks? Like,
nope. And the thing is, with that case is this, right? Let's see. When I first heard about it, right? First, I thought this is what I thought. He was a African immigrant, right? Say I thought he was African immigrant. This is what I really thought initially, right? I thought he was an African immigrant out for a jog and whatever like that in the wrong neighborhood and everything like that because us as African older, as you get older, right? Or when people tell you, will say, you just gotta watch your ass no matter where you go. White people there's white guys out there like that, out there like that, looking for a reason to shoot you, whatever like that, So I figured, he might have been a naive African immigrant, didn't probably just roll into the wrong neighborhood and everything like that, right? So I said like that. Then a friend or partner, Jamal, was telling me, no, he's African American, right? Then I started looking at the case more carefully. I said, okay, well, if he's African American, that means that he was jogging the neighborhood, probably knew the risk and danger and everything. And so if he was doing something right, why would he basically put himself in harm's way? What I found out was, okay, he went to a house, he peeked inside, something everybody does, I see a house under construction, whatever like that. I'm like, oh man, I might want to buy. I used to flip houses. I used to buy and sell houses years ago. Anyway, that's not unusual. Wow, house for sale or a house under construction. Let me go look at it. He stayed there for like a total of 5, like not even a minute, right? And then next thing you know, these two guys accosted him, right, at gunpoint. At no time do, and this is going to go to the root of the black conservative argument versus the neo-black conservative argument, right? The black conservative argument is, well, he should just comply. I've heard this. I didn't just like this. I heard them say he should just comply with these two idiots with guns, as if he was under some obligation to comply with two white guys with guns, Then we found out that, get this, the police department has the elder of the McMichaels, right, on their payroll still as somebody you call before you call the police if you have a problem. You know what that means, right? He's a good old boy. This guy was a police officer, but he didn't take his excessive force training, right? And he was working in the DA's office at a non-arrest thing. In other words, he was another George Zimmerman, neighborhood watch. People think they got power or whatever like that. They hobnob with police and everything. They're in a small town, whatever like that. They know all the district attorney, they know the prosecutor, they know everything like that. That sets the stage for, I could do whatever I want. Same George Zimmerman, same thing. It's follow the judge, everything like that, right? It's not, if it was not for social media, right, this case would have been buried, Look at this, 3 months later, and we're now talking about it. So my point about this is this, right? When I saw this, right, first thing I said was these guys had no right to approach him. They had no right to try to arrest him. They didn't even have no right to ask him, right? They could have just said, "What are you doing?" Or what at that. And if you look at the video, this young man panicked for his life. You see somebody with a gun, he panicked for his life, and he tried to fight back. Then some people said, "Well, why did he try to fight them with a gun?" I mean, are you kidding me? Somebody comes at you with a gun, it could be the last minutes of your life. Why did you try to fight back? Same thing with Trayvon Martin. Why did you fight back? Why did you fight back? Of course, your life and death. You're not thinking about no police or who's whatever like that. You're just trying to survive, So anyway, he gets killed, right? And then the police now in that county are saying that it was a district attorney that said don't arrest him. First of all, in the state of Georgia, right, a prosecutor or district attorney don't have arrest powers, right? That's the police. The police could arrest them. They chose not to, right? Or they chose not to. If either they're going to release them on their own recognizance because they got ties to the community, they should arrest them and arraign them, right, and charge them. They didn't do that, right? So the police is trying to blame the district attorney. The district attorney is trying to blame the police and all the stuff like this. Now they have a black special prosecutor, just like we saw with the Angela Corey situation in Trayvon Martin's case. She was so-called Hispanic, right? Oh, we got a special prosecutor. You know what this is going to lead to, And then after Trayvon Martin case, what was she doing? She was up there congratulating her failure to get a conviction. I want to thank the DA that worked hard on this case. My team is the best and all this kind of friggin' nonsense and everything. And she lost the case. So basically, a lot of black people are like, okay, well, we got black. Look, it's not over yet. It's not over yet. By not a long shot, Now, here's what the black conservative part is, right? The problem is when we have people like ABL, right?
Right. Brandon
Tatum, Candace Owens. And people, and who else? Who else? You said somebody else?
I said Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum.
Owens,
yeah.
Larry Elder, that Gene Riley, Fox News, and people like that. The problem is this. Their audience, and if you look at the Twitter and everything like that, all white people.
Right. All right, yeah.
All white people, right? When you have a black conservative movement, and I said to myself, and you're only parroting racist stuff from white America, right? Not from your own experiences being black, part of it.
Hold on. Let me stop you. Well, ABL did say that the Ku Klux Klan used to bring his grandmother a Christmas gift every year.
I believe he said something like that.
No, I'm dead serious. No, hold on. I'm dead serious.
Oh man, if you can find that and play that, man, this was.
I'm dead serious, Colin.
The Ku Klux Klan used to bring.
They're not that bad because they used to bring his grandma a Christmas gift every year.
And that's the problem, right? And a lot of people don't. You better start taking these Negroes seriously,
Right.
Because what they're doing is reinforcing white supremacy, the ability of white people to dominate and possess and control the black body, the black male body, black female body. They already know they have, you know. But the one loose cannon in Black America is the black male, the heterosexual black male. You know, people that they loathe and hate. They always want to know what's on your mind. You think I'm lying? Well, next time, go to a bus stop, right? Go to a bus stop or train station and have a book in your hand, right? And see a bunch of white folks or whatnot. They're going to take pictures of you. They're going to see, they want to know what you're reading, you know? If you're not sitting there bebopping with the headphones on, yeah, yeah.
Do it again. Do it again, Colin. Do it again, Colin. Do it again.
Yeah. That's the black people. That's what they want you to do. Or you ain't freaking slamming a basketball or basically, hey, man, oh, yeah, you see the game last night? Yo, our team won. If you're not spitting out sports and all the stuff like that, rap and everything like that, they get nervous, right? They want to know what you're reading. You know what I'm saying? What are you talking about? What's in your mind? What's on your mind? What's in your head? You know? And that's what the whole thing as a black conservative does. They give white people a sense of, okay, he's one of the, okay, this is what I want all black people to think, you know? That's a position of power. We have never been in a position to tell white people, dictate to white people their racism, right? It's up to them to come to their consensus, right? Have we ever had a white guy in Black America say, see, I wish more white people were like this? We never had that, right? Because sooner or later that white guy realized, well, geez, I'm white. You know, I don't have to freaking take I don't have to take this nonsense from black people. I'm on top. They need me. It's a power dynamic. So therefore, I sent you that article, Dynas, right? I didn't get a chance, or I was half asleep when I sent it to you. But the article was like some idiot wrote that the problem is not white racism that's causing these police shootings, it's black racism. Yeah, their logic is that as long as black people keep talking about Africa, as long as we keep talking about racism, white supremacy, as long as we keep talking about shooting and everything and just don't live along, just get along with everybody, forget about slavery and all stuff like that, that's black racism. So think about what I just said, right? If we talk about slavery, right? Our history, that's racism, right? A movie comes out, 12 Years a Slave. White people feel bad about that, right? They say, oh, that's a bad movie, right? But then again, they're like, well, why do I have to be subjected to this this guilt, right? And every time they see us, right, is guilt, right? So they know they can't really, there's no way they can reconcile slavery and what their ancestors did, right? So the only thing that they mean to have a relationship with us is having us in a constant state of panic, trauma, and fear. You know, you see what I said?
Right.
Panic and trauma and fear and control. You know, and their ability to kill us, brutalize us by the police, and all stuff like that is about panic. Have us in this constant state of panic, where we're traumatized. We live in fear, anger, and anguish. That's the only way that they can relate to us, right?
Well, one second, Colin. Guys, what we'll do in about 25 minutes, we'll start taking some calls. In about 25 minutes, we'll start taking some calls. Go ahead.
Okay. So therefore, this knocks into the whole thing, right? Okay. Now, talk about the historically black conservatives. What a lot of black conservatives ultimately want was the black conservative, to me, let's just define black conservative, right? Somebody who believes in America, right? They believe in American exceptionalism, right? Deep down inside, they believe that they were the lucky ones because of slavery, right? This is what they think. They believe that because
you're right. Yeah, you're right. But you're right. They were the lucky ones because they got to yell the redcoats were coming.
Yeah.
But we were still in slavery.
We're still in slavery, you know? And so no matter what, and see, that's why I said, you ever wonder why our people, we joke and everything like that, we clown our people, but our people are a mental mess right now, you know? Mm-hmm. We don't know how to deal with the psychological trauma what happened to our ancestors. Some of us, as you see right now, there's a lot of black hoteppers who are joining the conservative movement, right? Because everybody wants to get out of this trauma, right? If you could put slavery behind us and get along, and some people even go to the far saying slavery never happened, you know? You know?
Oh no, here's my favorite. Well, the Irish were slaves too.
Oh yeah, I see the Irish slaves. They got over it. We could do the same thing too. You know, all this nonsense. Why? Because America is this big apple pie that everybody wants a piece of. You know, everybody wants to be a part of America. Everybody wants the American dream, right? And when the black conservative gets up and he starts spouting all this stuff, it's like, see, he's one of us, man. He's American. He's a true blue American. You know. And the bottom line is this: those of us who sit back and be like, nah, I really, okay, I live here and I like other things and everything, but
I'm not emotionally attached to America.
right. See,
Yeah.
they can't deal with that. You know, a lot
They
of
can't
white
deal with
people
it.
cannot deal with that.
Just move. Just get out. Just get out. Just move. Just get
And
out.
then when we say, right, we're gonna build an organization called the BAIO, Black African Infrastructure Organization, right? Our end game is an African nation state. We want to build in Africa. These same people will come at us and say, that's crazy. You guys, all right. And then the same people will take the history of Liberia, which I'm going to do my show Wednesday about. I have a Liberian special guest on my show Wednesday, 11 o'clock. We'll talk about that later, right?
Mm-hmm.
The same people say, look what we did in Liberia, right? Well, what we did in Liberia, we had presidents, we had senators, you know?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We had sovereignty over land, you know? We built it was industrializing. We was like 10 years away from full industrialization. You know, we built colleges, we did all that, and we didn't know what white supremacy or white brutality was. We're in our own situation, right? That was a complete failure, right? But sitting here getting our ass whooped by white people and white people talking down to us, white people giving us crumbs and patronage and all stuff like that, you know, white people objectifying us. That is the way we're supposed to be. Now you say, okay, let's say you say, you know something, okay, I'm a black man, I'm just beaten, I'm just gonna do it, right, like that, right? Now here's the thing, right? You walk down the street, you get knocked upside the head by the police for social distancing, right?
Right.
You get knocked upside the head for social. Oh yeah, cop, clock this dude, right? Oh, you flexing? That's what they used to do black men in the 1920s who came to New York, right? To show them their place, you know, whatever. You mean tell me 100 years later we're still going through the same thing in a city that calls itself liberal, right? The argument was this, right? And the Candace Owens of the world, right, will always point out the hypocrisy of white liberalism, right? I have no arguments with her on that, right? Yeah, black people in the Democratic districts do worse than anybody else. Baltimore, Detroit, they're all Democrat. It's not like that. But when it comes down to basically talking about white racists on the right, they're telling you to shut up, you know? So we're supposed to speak up about
No. You're the racist for calling out the race.
If we talk about white liberal racists, right? De Blasio and all this kind of stuff like that, you know? And this is not new. This is not new in New York, right? This is probably before your time, Dynasty. Back in the days, Al Sharpton, Alton Madison, C. Vernon Mason, and Sonny Carson had made the same claim against the former governor, Mario Cuomo, and Bob Abrams, who was Attorney General in New York City back in the 80s, right? New York in the late 80s became a hotbed of racism. They said, how could this happen, right? And that's what led to the Central Park case, right? They basically did what they wanted to do with those boys. Why? Because white people, this is let me tell you something about growing up in New York, right? New York City, New York, right?
Right.
White people have historically always said, well, at least y'all not in the South. You know what they do to y'all in the South, right?
Right.
So don't complain too much. Think about that, you know? Don't complain too much because look how you have. And Jews were especially notorious for that, you know? Telling how benevolent they are. Oh, look how this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, we understand that, right? But still, the graffiti artist Michael Stewart was brutalized by NYPD and murdered in the subway. And those guys got off. You know, Bernard Goetz shot down 6 boys and pretty much got off, you know. Eleanor Bumpers was murdered by a police officer, you know, elderly woman, black woman was murdered, right? And we were saying all this stuff. They said, why y'all complaining? You know what I'm saying? Y'all come up to New York, why not? So basically, black people, for the most part, just said, you know something, you're right. You know, so you're right. We're living in the North, liberal North and everything. We got this opportunity and everything. We came up here and everything like that. We just have to deal with it. So black people basically accepted their lot for the most part, right?
Mhm.
Now what you see now, right, and what I think is good is I think a lot of black people are attacking this at the source. See how this happened in the Deep South, you know? That
Right.
part of Georgia is the Deep South, you know? Black people, you see new Black Panther members out there with AK-47s and rifles, you know? And black bikers are showing up, right? So in other words, black people are at the point in history where they're ready to confront this stuff at the South, at the source. Because
Right.
as long as we never basically confront the South, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, everything like that, you know, white people, we won't give racism, white supremacy a refuge in the North, you know? If you start attacking in the South, you know, and start heading at its source right here in the South, where they think with black people's social status, right, and culturally and everything hasn't changed at all pretty much since Jim Crow. You know, on paper they say this, right? But in fact, right, if not in
Well,
name,
I
black
want.
people's change.
Yeah, guys, hit that like button. Make sure you hit the like button as you come to the chat room. Somebody brought up, finish your thought, Colin, but somebody brought up as far as New York, Howard Beach, Bensonhurst,
Yeah,
Eleanor Bumpers, Michael Stewart, Central Park jogger case,
right.
Bernard Goetz, and
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. All these things happen in the North, right? And we really, those of us, my answer was that during that time period was I gotta get the hell out of New York. I thought New York was worse than the South, to tell you the truth, you know. So I moved, my family, us, we moved to Virginia, you know, because all the hotbed of racism, Tawana Brawley case, white people just basically. And then you had, but when we left, Giuliani became mayor, and all the stuff like that. Then Bloomberg stop and frisk everything. In other words, basically, black people in New York have not ever, right? Why? Because we basically have thrown our lot with the liberals, right? In 1988, it was pretty funny, right? This is a funny story, right? Al Sharpton got up before the church and Ultimax got up before the church, said, if during the Toronto Brawley case, right? He said, if our demands aren't met, you know what I'm saying? If our demands aren't met, we're gonna rise up and march on Albany, right? And all of a sudden I was like, man,
oh, God, do it again, do it again, do it.
you know, if our demands aren't met, we're gonna rise up and march on Albany, right? And all of a sudden, check this out, right? My grandfather, I helped there was spring breakdown that time. It was like March, right? I had my grandfather move to his house in our property in North Carolina. And so I said, I'm gonna take a spring break. I'm getting out of New York, wherever like that, right? So I'm down there for a week having fun in North Carolina and everything, having fun, right? I get back to New York, right? I said, I wonder what happened, right? All of a sudden, I picked up the paper, right? And all of a sudden, I saw the front page on one of the papers that I told my mother to save the newspapers for me, right? All of a sudden, I come back, and on the front page, I seen Al Sharpton, right, in his court, being handcuffed on the New York State Thruway. You know what I'm saying? Trying to block the exit ramp. You know, he went through with it. He said, "We're gonna march on Albany," and you see him in handcuffs being held all the way. I was like, "Oh shit!" He marched on Albany, right? But the thing is, you know, Geraldo Rivera, right? And, during that time period, Geraldo Rivera said, "Look, Al Sharpton, if this was the Mississippi, we would listen to you. But Mario Cuomo is a liberal governor. He's this. He gave a lot to black things. You know, Bob Abrams is a Jewish guy, and Mario Cuomo's an Italian guy, and everything." And they said, and Al Sharpton said to Geraldo Rivera, he said, "Look, New York City just admitted that they were ticketing black people on the subways and everything like that, you know, based on race. You know what I'm saying? They was going and giving tickets for nothing, you know, just trying to meet quotas, right?" And what happened was Ed Koch, who was a mayor at the time, right, showed up at the court and said, "Yeah, we got to stop these vagrants and stuff like that," right? And all of a sudden the judge said, "Mr. Koch, you know, you're not done yet. Sit down. Let me tell you something. Every time poor people are in trouble, whatever like that, it seems like the media, you and everything, want to throw everything. But there's just as many white New Yorkers, right, who do the same thing, but you're not here. You're nowhere to be found. Proof of which, right, there's several black police officers who are testifying now saying that they were told to ticket black people all the time. Ticket black people, ticket black and Hispanic. Leave Asians alone. There's enough about people of color shit, right? Leave foreigners alone, leave tourists alone. If you see them drunk, whatever, don't just leave them alone. You know, we need their money. Black people are getting whooped in New York for defying social media. White people, what did they do in Central Park last week, right? They're out there, the police are out there, oh yeah, the violence will be here, but put this on, give them a mask,
Right.
give them a mask. So therefore, yes, okay, we can make the argument about racism and hypocrisy in the liberal part, right? But this is where Candace Owens and all these other buffoons made a mistake, right? They were like, well, somebody you need to have on the show who started this off, my brother Shaquem, out of Charleston, he's the one who started this whole thing off, with the black conservatives, because he had met with Candace Owens. He said, okay, I like the what you talk about was school choice, more investment, enterprise zones, all the stuff like that they agreed on, right? And so he built a relationship with these black conservatives. He had friends with them, right? He said, okay, black nationalists, black militants can work with black conservatives, seem like they see eye to eye on all that stuff like that. But then she comes out with this statement talking about black people need to focus on black crime. Now get this. Anybody who knows my show or listened to me over the years, I always talk about black on black crime, right? And Shaquem said, it's one thing to talk, you throw black on black crime up, and then one thing to deal with it. Shaquem goes into the community, right, with his gangs and stuff like that, right? And he mentors these boys, He brings them to the table and tell them in a different way and stuff like that. So we're always talking about black on black crime. The black conservatives, people like ABL and all these people, right, they don't want to talk about that, right? That's why they fell into this trap, right? Because what happened was they recruited a lot of black nationals and black militants, the black conservative movement, right? But a lot of I never joined the black. I'm past all that, right? But a lot of black nationals are like, wait a minute here. We got problems in our community. We still got poverty. We still got police brutality. We got all stuff like that, You guys don't want to address that. But we always talk about that. We're dealing with it. But when the time comes, right, when this situation happens, you want to say, to talk about black on black crime, Two wrongs don't make a right. We talk about black on black crime. We deal with it. It'd be much worse if you didn't have brothers like Shaquem out there, and people who basically talk about, yeah, we got to put this the nonsense down. We got to stop all this. It would be worse, if it wasn't. But they don't want to. But what they do is they go run to white people. See, look, all this black on black crime in Chicago. I said, what does Chicago have to do with freaking this southern part of Georgia? Am I missing something here?
No, you're not.
What is this? What is the crime in Detroit, right? Which is economic, social factors, whatever, just a mess, have to do with these two white guys blowing this kid away, in cold blood, And so that's the argument right now. That's what the argument right now. These people in the black conservative, not just black conservative movement, because white liberals don't talk about this at all.
Oh, let me interject real quick. Alan says, I had a professor who straight up told me that NYC and Washington D.C. are the most racist cities in the country. Alan, I'll tell you right now, Los Angeles, California, more racist than the South.
Yeah, Los Angeles, very, like I said,
Los Angeles, California, the poster child, for liberal paradise, most racist city.
Black people suffer because you understand. So, San Francisco, I heard.
Yeah.
The police department is very racist. I seen a video where this cop followed this guy on a bike, a military guy. Guy had these are. What gets me is when you see, like in Sacramento, not too long ago, they beat a black man. They had the wrong guy. Did you see that video?
I haven't seen it.
Over and the girl and his girlfriend. That's not. What are you doing? They arrested the guy, beat him. The cop kicked him. You see the cop drop kicked him in the head. They had the wrong guy. Or a high speed chase. Said, well, what are you doing? Then they said, oh, we got the wrong guy. Oh, sorry.
My bad.
And I said, my bad. I'm saying sorry.
No, my bad.
A girl was just killed, right, in her house, right?
Right.
Yeah. The story. If you could tell the story.
No. I don't know.
They had the wrong house.
And she was sleeping, right?
Yeah, she was asleep.
Why do you kill somebody when they're asleep, Kyle? I don't get that. Like, how you in the bed sleeping?
Whatever happened to that case where that girl was shot through a window in Texas?
Oh, Kyle,
I forgot all about that.
I forgot about that too.
That's why we need media people, right? We need more people that's keeping this stuff front and center, because we forget. We go on to the next thing, and they know when football season comes around, we're gonna completely forget. So all this happens and everything like that, and we just go along with the flow, everything like that. And then when something like this happens, right? This Aubrey case should be cut and dry, right?
So,
What is it?
So Alan says, I personally had more police harassment in LA and Azusa than any place I've ever been. Man, you understand? I was getting pulled over in Los Angeles, California, and the thing is, I'd be suited up, Windsor
No,
night.
that don't matter.
Oh man, it's like it was worse.
Yo, check this out. They had Wesley Snipes out on gun. They knew who he was, even an actor, right? They
Right.
had him out, pulled him out, and put him on the ground gunpoint. You know, back in the
Right.
early '90s.
Yeah. So I mean, and then like I got pulled over one time, right? Korean police officer, and that's the thing.
Oh
It's the
yeah,
other
Asians.
minorities that are racist as hell in LA.
Right. I got
Other
Hispanic
minorities.
cops and Asian
So
cops are the worst.
right. So I got pulled over by this Korean police officer, right? He pulls me over. Sir, that's your drive out tag. I said, yeah, I just bought the car. I showed him my registration, my paperwork. He's still grilling me. This cop says, well, you need to call the DMV and tell them to hurry up with your tag. I'm just like, I mean,
I know.
and the thing is, it's not even like you have like 30 days, right? I'm on day like
30
number,
tags,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm on like day number 10. He tells me I need to call DMV, tell them to hurry up with my tag on day number 10.
Yeah, right. So
I was
you're gonna
like,
go
man,
DMV.
bro, I mean, they're just these liberals are not telling the truth about LA.
But they're not. They're not. And the whole thing is this. Right now, Black America, right here. I would say just hold our vote. You know, and like I said, and watch the whole system crumble, just crash. You know, because the whole thing is this, man. The liberals and everything like that. Now, Young Turks, right?
Yeah.
This is how sad situation we're in America, right? I listen to your show, right, and I get answers and ideas. Build with Africa, very wealth, whatnot, this and the other thing. And there's a lot of other platforms like yours out there that's doing the same thing, right? You know, and the brother Akeme that was on the other night, brilliant brother. A real Pan African leader. What's his brother name? Akeme, the one Nigeria that does
Oh yeah. I know. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Your brother's on the show the other night. Brilliant brother, There's people like that out there. There's so many Black people that's doing extraordinary thing. Your brother Fitzgerald, all these brothers that you have on, the doctors you have on, professionals, everything like that, that's not seen in Black America, right? We're not
Right.
talking, these people are in the community, they're trying to make things better and everything like that doesn't matter. Now you got the Young Turks, right? Instead of saying how are we going to engage Black America, right, with the Biden administration or the Trump administration, and linking up with these people that's doing things, right? No, that's not it. The only thing they want to talk about is, look, another Black man got killed. Another Black man got killed. So in other words, the only thing Black America, the political system, want to talk about is Black pain and misery.
Right.
That's the only thing we're about. That's what our whole vote is going to be around. Okay, you getting killed by police, whatnot. Now we had 8 years of Barack Obama. Did that change one bit? No. Barack Obama was president, right? 2 years into his second presidency and whatnot, all hell broke loose. We had Trayvon Martin, we had Michael Brown, we had Alton Sterling, we had all these other people, Eric Garner, and all these other people, Fernando Castillo, and all these people that were killed by police. And basically, the Justice Department of Obama did not one thing, right? The Civil Rights Division of the Justice Department should always, in cases of bias or violence against Black people, this is the way I thought of it, right? Was this? This is why I disagree with Black conservatives, right? Black conservatives want us to be Americans like everybody else, which is not fallible, right? They think we should give the police, the courts, and everything the benefit of the doubt. We should trust in the judicial system, right? This has where I always get them at, right? When the justice system works, you hear yay and nay. That's the system we believe in. I believe in the system, right? Now, in 1994, there was a case in Los Angeles, right? A man named Orlando James Simpson, right? Was accused of murder, right?
Right. Gets off. Something's wrong with the system.
I'll say. Check this out. Remember Johnny Quacker? If the glove don't quit, don't fit, you must quit.
Yeah.
White people were ready to burn down the whole system. They're like, I have no faith in the system. I thought the whole thing was that the jurors was they had ghetto jurors, you know, black jurors, and all this kind of stuff like that. You know, well, I thought it was a mixed jury. Well, how they come to they weren't educated. Jurors were ignorant. Why? They tried for years to discredit the verdict of O.J. Simpson, right?
Mhm.
Until the fact that they brung this guy on some stupid trumped up charges that he robbed himself of his own merchandise, you know?
All right.
And they said, finally, justice has been done. And then what gets me is there was a guy that actually on death row down in Florida actually confessed to killing Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman, I think his name.
But you know what's crazy, Colin? Like, so with the Aubrey situation, or just whenever an unarmed black man gets killed, they dig into that person's past.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't dig into Nicole Brown Simpson and the other dude that got killed.
Ronald Goldman.
You know, they had some like shady.
Oh yeah,
like,
and the Faye Resnick, and all these other people. These were some devious people, you know.
right.
But they didn't dig into that. Oh well, she was around with drug dealers. She was hanging around bikers, and Nicole was doing this one. They don't know, of course, because you got to keep the squeaky clean, innocent white people image up. You know, when it comes to black people, you know, I can't wait the day I get on trial, man. The shit they gonna dig up on me. Shit, I don't forgot. Oh, remember time in college? You were cited for this. I don't know. I don't have no criminal record, but they're gonna find something.
Yeah.
You know, you were accused. You remember you were accused. You know what I'm saying? You were suspected of. You know, and then when that goes out there, accused, suspected of, when it's black or not, you might as well say the person convicted.
You're guilty.
You're guilty. You know. You know. So the same thing's happening right now. You know. So the bottom line is. I like I said, man, you pray for the this brother gets justice and everything like that. But you know, I'm past.
Colin, let me play this video real quick with
Brandon Tatum.
Yeah. Let me play this video real quick, man. This was comedy. And see, guys, like I said, I've been so busy with my books and everything else, I haven't been keeping up with stuff. So, guys, make sure you go to Amazon.com and buy some.
Mine.
Yeah, thank you, Colin. Thank you. Make sure you guys
get that book too. That book thing. We're gonna learn, Don. We're gonna have a good year this year, bro. You're gonna teach me how to cold call, man.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so guys, make sure you go. Make sure you guys go support the book. All right, go support the books. All right, go to Amazon.com, type in the title of the book, and buy the books, you guys. But hold on, let me pull up this video. Let me pull this video. Hold on. I just had. Here we go. Right here. Let me share the screen.
Salute. And that's not the white picture. Because it is irrelevant. It is ironic. It is ironic. No, it's not. It's ironic that all of these cases that we see, people are involved in criminal activity. It's never, he said it's never a case where a person that's just been doing nothing is just gunned down. All these people have an extensive criminal history. Why is that important? Why is that important? Do you not think that's strange?
So just because you
had a criminal past doesn't mean that you deserve to be
It's funny because
and it's relevant in the case that's at play.
You know, here's the thing.
I gotta go.
They're quick to run and grab that talking point of Biden and Hillary Clinton, you know, and created the
I'm gone, man.
They created
you the fakest nigga I ever seen in my life.
Hold on.
What you said, I'm done, bro. You a fake nigga. I appreciate it. Fake, bro. I'm exposed to everybody. When I see you, nigga, it's always gonna be on. I want you to know that. When you call on the phone and you saying all this and you get on the live stream and you playing this shit, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Now, you know what's crazy, Colin?
Yeah.
Like the white conservative friends that are their allies, you know, they're laughing at this right now. They think this is hilarious.
Of course, the buffoonery. Yeah, they think it's buffoonery. They love it.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me play the rest.
Is that black crime?
You some bitch. I know. Everybody else.
Okay, now Hotep Jesus says, is that black on black crime? Now, you know, whenever an unarmed black man gets shot by a white police officer, the first thing that, you know, the black conservatives like Brandon Taylor talk about is, what about the black on black crime? So right. Hotep Jesus is like, is that black on black crime?
Yep. He's threatened Hotep Jesus, right, with black on black crime.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's saying, I'm gonna beat your ass one night. That's black on black crime, nigga. You just doing the same thing. Like I said, a lot of these dudes are full of shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
They're full of shit.
Now, when he said his wife listened to him, he's saying all these N-word explicit in front of his white wife.
Oh, he has a white wife?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, see, there you go. That says it all. He got white wife. These guys is tormented. These dudes are still ghetto. You know what I'm saying? They're still hood. They're still, but they white. See, the whole thing is what beauty about what my life was. I had a nice life around successful black people. You know what I'm saying?
All right.
I had to go to white people to get what they think is civilized. I came from South Jamaica, Queens, probably the most advanced black community that ever was.
In fact, there was you know what, Colin? There was an actual article written. Like I want to say, Queens is the only one of the only cities where hold on, are making more money than
white people. My cousins live out there, Jamaica Estates.
Millionaires. Yeah.
You got black people out there in Queens and whatnot. Generations of wealth. We did success that wasn't replicated throughout the rest of the country. But Queens, for some reason, like I said, black people out Uniondale, Jamaica, South Jamaica Estates and whatnot, Hollis, Queens, and everything like that. Farmers Boulevard. You got generations of black people that came from the Caribbean, came from the South, came from everywhere, and built dynasties, got properties. South Jamaica Queens is never gonna be gentrified. That's just too black, And so these black conservatives never talk about black success. You know what I'm saying? They're always like, we gotta do some white jiggy bajan jam whatnot to get along with white people whatnot. And people man, get out of here. We don't need these people. You know what I'm saying? And we have people that tell us the golden rule. We have mosques. We have churches. We have a 7-day event. We have educational and religious institutions to keep us on the right path. Brandon Tatum, his whole thing is he follows ghetto his whole life. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, Colin, let me stop you. That is his whole thing. He raised in the hood in Texas.
Yeah. And he learned to hate being black. That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with Jesse Lee Peterson. Raised in the ghetto, single mother, ran out on each other, ran out on whatever like that, foster home. So he grew up hating black people. He grew up hating his own community, a community that he never was successful in. That's all it is.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah. Let me hold on one second. Let me play the rest of this video.
Good. I want to hear this.
That's what I said. Yes, sir. All right, I appreciate everybody. All right.
They had to cut that off, man.
Yeah, that right there was just.
Yeah. So So like I said, these people are finally coming. Because like I said, I think a lot of black people are getting tired of shenanigans, And like I said, as this is only going to make our movement, our pan-African stronger. It's going to make our movement stronger. Why? Because we're seeming like the level-headed. We're seeming like the level-headed one in the group. Because like I said,
but then we got these Pan-Africans who Jones and David Icke and
right.
Everybody who don't agree with him is an agent, and it's like, what do you? I mean, what else? Colin, the thing is though, this whole agent talk. It's like, who are you? Like, who are you? Like, what threat do you pose? Who are you?
I know. And check us out. I was talking about this today, right?
Yeah.
I was saying that. Wait a minute. This is. I'm not trying to be funny, everything like that. But a lot of these people were David Icke and what's the other guy's name?
Alex Jones and
Alex Jones and all these people. They were those followers to begin with, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's who they are, right? They come around, right, and they think they're fooling people by putting up. What they'll do is they'll link up with people that they sort of agree with, like RZA Islam and stuff like that. See, RZA Islam saying like that. So they create this straw man. Okay, the conspiracy, RZA Islam, when you know, they're like that. Dude, we'll take RZA Islam out in a minute. You know what I'm saying? I'll crush that dude in a minute. You know what I'm saying? The bottom line is this. What they don't want is somebody like you that's sincere about what you're doing. You're building Pan-African links and everything. We could agree or disagree about vaccine and everything. But
Carl, that's my thing. Like, a mature individual is going to understand, like, look, you're not going to agree with everybody on everything.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
No.
It's not going to happen, you know? And, you know, people like me and you, I mean, like me and you, we see different on religion.
Oh, yeah, well, religion.
You know, but it's just like, okay, we keep it. I mean,
let's build on what we agree.
Yeah, let's build on what we work on.
What we agree on. You know, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about. Well, you know, look. I know everybody is not going to be. Don't see the church. I always see the church. But right. I said it worked for me in my life. You know, so it gave me some grounding, whatever, like that. You know. But the bottom line is, I know that I got Muslim brothers. You know.
Right.
I got atheist brothers, you know. I got people who don't believe in that. They'll say, what do we agree on? We agree that we're black in America, right? And we're getting our ass whooped, you know. We agree that we better pass on. You know what the sad part about this is if we fuck up, right? Excuse my language, right? And don't pass nothing on to the next generation.
We fail.
You're going to be a 70-year-old man, and the younger generation, you know, the younger generation have no respect for older people no more, you know.
Right. Of course not.
So you're going to be, by the time, 20 years from now, you're in your 60s and 70s, right? Them kids are going to look at you, old fool, this and the other thing, right? That doesn't happen in Japan. When they see an older person, when they see somebody who's out there on the coal mines, the steel mills, somebody was in government, somebody's a war veteran that provided something why they could walk pretty in their little Tokyo, whatever like that. We as black men got to start building, you know what I'm saying? Why? Because if we don't build, you know what I'm saying, and we let the whole generation, the whole 20 years slip by. I'm going to tell you right now, I watched 25 years slip by, right? I remember, never forget this. 1993, right? 27 years. 1993 is when all this stuff started. You know what I'm saying? With this, the gangs and our culture changed. You know what I'm saying? And I talked about that on my radio show. After the LA riots, right? They went around and said, look, man, how do we keep these niggas under control? Like Wise Intelligent, a poor righteous teacher said, well, when LA riots happened, black people say, yo, boy, they rose up. You know what I'm saying? They say, yo, you know what I'm saying? They could control us. The music, everything in black America was like, yo, look, even if you wasn't rioting, you were like, okay, I hear what they're saying and everything. They can't have that happen. Why? Because if that can happen on that scale anymore, why not? America's national security is at risk, right? So what they do, you know, we're going to change your music around, right? You're not going to say fuck the police no more. You're going to say fuck the East Coast. You know what I'm saying? Fuck the West Coast. You know, fuck the Bloods, fuck the Crips, fuck him, fuck the South, fuck the whatever like that. You know, whatever it is, all the jabs that were going out in our subconscious was aimed at other black people.
Right.
So we have now 27 years now of black men programmed to hate each other. Okay. We talk about that, right? That's what it is. The same people talk about black about crime. Why are your kids buying black on black pathology?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you see white people out there. Oh yeah, blonde, blue-eyed kids listening to the most degrading music ever known to mankind and whatnot. Why? Because they could escape to it, right? They didn't like it when Marilyn Manson was telling them to shoot up their own schools. You know,
right?
They got rid of Marilyn Manson. You see how they got rid of Marilyn Manson, right?
Right.
Got rid of, you know, they got rid of him. You know, they brought in the Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, and all these other things, right? To change the culture. Black people, you go out there as long as it's talk about killing black people and killing. Ice-T said that before the Congress. He said, "Look, the only time you guys want to talk about is when we talk about shooting police. That's why I made that sure cop killer. Because when we talk about killing my own people, y'all have no problem with it. Mm-hmm. You know." And these are the same black conservatives and all these other people who don't say a damn thing about the white embracing of black mediocrity and all stuff like that. You know, they don't say anything about that. All they want to do is when black people speak up about police brutality, oh, you should, like, the whole weight of the world has basically produced this black on black pathology in America. America rewards it. It gives $100 million contracts. all this stuff, this culture of self-hate and self-destruction is the cornerstone of the new Black America. Now, how do you do that? You have to attack the thing. We're doing that, right? Black people are coming out with good music, good culture. Yeah. We do that on social media. You see two Black men on here. Me and Dynasty and myself agree to disagree on things. Well, we
agree to disagree. And it's the thing, Kyle. It's like my platform. I know I'm not gonna make everybody happy.
Right.
I know everybody's not gonna agree with me. You know, so I say what I say, and it is what it is. You can take it or leave it.
No, but people, we got to shut Dynasty down. You know what I'm saying? He got to go. All stuff like that, man. Shoot, if you come for Dynasty, you're coming for me. Hey, Dynasty, anybody wants to get online? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Hey, guys, if you want to call in, let's get a couple calls. Yeah, let's get a couple calls.
Take a call. I want to hear what people have to say.
Okay, guys, you want to call in, I'm going to put the email in the chat room.
It's been lonely, folks. I want to talk to some people. You know? And don't forget my shows Wednesday night. Hey, Dynasty.
I put the flyer, guys, the thumbnail.
Oh, yeah.
Wednesday,
11 p.m. Eastern, the Colonization Show is broadcast to a huge audience and whatnot. You know, I booked special guests. You know, they had Dynasty Amir on. That was a great show. Sir. Everybody told me, man, that was golly, you did a good interview.
Guys, so the email me uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. Email me, guys, and I will send you the link, and you could call in and ask your question. Again, that's the email. Send me email. I'll send you the link, and you can call in.
Yeah, we want to talk to people tonight, you know. And this brother Dynasty Amir, you know, like I said, I wish we would have had Dynasty Amir 20 years ago. Well, then again, we didn't have social media. But now's the time to take these platforms and build with them, you know, and build with them and connect and understand what this is all about, you know.
Right. All right, guys. So if you want to call in, that's the link. That's the email. uhuru@searchforuhuru.com. Send me an email, and I will let you in.
And then, but guess this, right? This is the first time, see, when my brother Shot Ken went at Candace, right? He went at her hard, right? And the bottom line is this. This is what
here goes Lou Major. I'm sending Lou Major the link.
Oh, boy.
That's my, okay, now you two.
All right, All right.
You two agree to disagree.
I'll say we agree to disagree.
All right,
but
so
yeah, my brother Shot Ken, man, when he went at Candace Owens, man, right? She kind of backed off, you know? Why? Because she knows she stepped in a bee's horn, right? She told LeBron James to shut up, you know? Mm-hmm. She said Michael Jordan should just shut up. When I was like, who the hell are you? And Shot Ken's like, look, if you know, you came down here and saw what I do. I work in the community. I run a pantry for people, for hungry people. We have the Muhuddin Academy and everything like that.
Lou Major?
So
Lou Major?
Why did Lou Major look like Rick Ross and whatnot? Come on, man.
Rick Ross?
Rick Ross. Come on, man.
Lou Major?
You think I look like Rick Ross? Man.
You look sued,
I don't look the best, man. I've been in quarantine, man.
Hey, Kyle, let me say this. Lou Major. Hold on. Lou Major, I agree with 99.5% of what you say now.
My God, man, I'm making headroads, man. That's progress.
99.5%.
I agree with some things you say. You know, some things.
Tyler, that sounds like a challenge, man. I started with 75% with Dynasty. Now I'm at 99.5%.
I'm like this. I'm like you and me. You're at 65.
I think I'll get to 99% because I believe I happen to be right.
All right. Okay. What do you think about this whole situation?
I've gotten to a place, and maybe this is wrong, but I don't get upset about it anymore.
Why is that?
What you have to understand is that this is a system. It's a program. So every time a black guy dies, anybody gets killed by the police or by a white guy or something like this. This has been going on since the 90s. It goes something like this. Usually some civil rights figure to get onto the case.
I'll break it down. This is the 2000 version. Protest, call Benjamin Crump. Protest, call Benjamin Crump. Benjamin Crump is a multi-millionaire now. I don't know what case he's
Yeah. When you hear him talk, right, he Yeah, I'm like, wait a minute here. That don't sound like somebody who just take a. Remember Michael Brown case, and also because he knows when he gets called, right, the association, he gets paid off. You know, he gets paid.
Right. Right. So what you have to understand is this is a pattern, and then they'll usually find some black guy, hopefully close to this guy, who will say something like, "This is not about race.
Exactly.
I forgive them."
Yeah, that's what happened.
And then usually there'll be some kind of a march, or in this case it was a run. And then what will happen is maybe somebody gets paid off. The white guys may or may not go to jail. They'll get a light sentence. Black people.
Then
you have the Roland Martins, the Karen Hunters, the black media, who's going to sit there and talk about how terrible things are for black people and the slaughter of black bodies. You know, the traditional stuff. And then typically you'll have the other side, a group of black people who are not black conservatives. I call them paid black hitmen, who go in and say things to, in essence, make white people feel less guilty or more comfortable with the reality of the situation. Something to the effect of, it wasn't, they'll take the sides of the white conservatives. Of course, they'll go into his background to, of course, demonize him so that way he could somehow deserve to die.
Right.
And then after they do all of that, what they do is they split the black community. What they didn't do is they split the black community so black community cannot function as one. And then over time, people just get exhausted and they just move on. And then until the next black
season comes on. The football season.
Yeah, I mean, so the whole thing, the Ahmaud Arbery thing, it's upsetting not because Ahmaud Arbery died, although that's sad. And it's not upsetting because of the fact that white people did it, although that's frustrating. What's upsetting, I'm no longer upset with white people. I am upset with us. Because at the end of the day, okay, we cannot win an armed conflict at this point in America. We're outnumbered, outgunned. Sure, fair enough. I can understand somebody saying, I don't want to go into some kind of armed situation, violence. I can get that. I could even respect that. But why are we still here?
Yeah, that's a question.
And even if you didn't want to leave America, I could understand. America's what you know, right? Your family's been here. But why are we so? I would like to understand, and this is why I got on, because I'm not here to say fiery comments. What I want to understand is, look, if you don't want to leave America, and I can understand that, what is stopping us from maybe leaving the cities, buying up cheap land, and building our own communities? Why don't we just leave?
I think,
my
whole thing with a lot of black people is this. We have never learned, right? We have never learned. I believe that it has to do with culture, right? What we see ourselves, we're horrified. Black people are literally horrified of the images they see of themselves. Let's be honest with ourselves. The rap videos and all the stuff they put out to us, right? That's why I think Black Panther was such a big hit, right?
Right.
Because black people saw themselves in a different thing. And I said, that's the answer, right? You got to create a new reality, Yeah. Black Panther was a big hit. Oh, wow. The Wakanda and people talk about science and everything, It's a culture. White people, basically, and their sycophants, whatever, they want us in the same old stupid ghetto.
Yeah, but who cares what they want? But I get that, Kala, but white people wanting XYZ for us, that's their thing. That has nothing to do with the fact that why don't we just leave? Like I'm saying, if you don't want, I'm not saying to leave.
Lou, I'm gonna tell you why. Because our bones are bones.
Oh, no, I'm not even saying leave the country. At this point, I'm not even saying leave the country. I'm not even saying that, although I would advocate for that. But in this case, I'm not even saying that. I'm saying, for example, I'll give you an example. In the state of Texas, which has a very large black population, there is Texas is known as a state where half of it's actually populated. Almost all of East Texas is nothing but wide open land. And you could buy that land, when I tell you, for next to nothing, I know a guy right now who's selling 320 acres of land that's fertile with water on it.
Oklahoma too.
Exactly. Oklahoma for $35,000. Okay, 320 acres. All right. You get what is to stop 100 to 150 black people putting their money up, buying the land and building houses. And just
check this out. You know what we need? You know what we need? What we need?
Why?
No, I'll tell you. What we need is real leaders, trailblazers, right? Somebody that's gonna. This is another thing. Like, let me give you some. What do you think about Jay Morris? What do you think about Jay Morris? Jay Morrison
with the Tulsa Fund.
Yeah.
I think what he was wanting to do was awesome, and I think
he's still doing it. People don't understand. He's actually still doing it. He said the fund, like the initial crowdfund, is gone, but those people still own property and stuff like. It's going to be different now. They can move to a level where they can hit the NASDAQ and stuff like that and raise things. And so the people who were in on it initially will benefit. Now they're ready to get in with partnerships with other real estate groups and everything like that. Now, what I'm saying, his thing about building for Black America, a template. He created a template because no one thought he could raise $13, $14 million, right, on a crowdfunding thing, you know? And he created a template where the initial people could be part of it, right? Now coming forward, now that he doesn't need that anymore. So with Yvette Carnell and all of them, see, the whole thing is you got these black people who think the only thing we need to do is beg white people, hold out for some reparations check, which is never going to happen, you know, and everything. And when somebody's making a move like Jay Morrison, like the brother Akiyembe, I butchered his name, that's doing the global supply chain, his organization. When people like that are doing stuff and whatnot, nobody wants to get behind them. Everybody wants to sit back, you know, stuff like that.
I'm gonna have to push back on that just a little bit. Nobody getting behind. I will agree with you that we tend to bash each other, but I could say I'm living proof of that, man. In the sense of, you know, I've been in Africa now for 5 years, and I left my cushy job on Wall Street. Well, I was at that point. I was working for myself, but I had been on Wall Street for years when I had gotten out of school. And I left my situation in New York. I ended up moving to Ghana because I wanted to start a private equity fund. And the goal was to have this idea of black dollars investing in black businesses in the black continent.
With that guy, Michael Jackson.
I am working with Michael Jackson, and for 5 years.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna talk to him tonight.
Yeah, for 5 years, I was bashing my head against the wall, and I couldn't get black people to invest. Actually, off of Dynast's show, this woman named Table came on, and we got 80 black people together, bought a 400 acres, and started up a farm in Nigeria. I got another 50 together, bought up 10,000 acres in South Africa. We're getting ready to start our own bank, and we're probably going to pick up another, 1,800 acres, 1,400 acres in less than, a month with 80 people. So what that immediately tells me is if 80
you're the leadership.
Well, let's not. I would rather not focus on myself. I'd rather focus on the results. If 80 people can pick up close to 14,000 acres in the African continent, what can 1,000 do?
Yeah.
What can 2,000 do?
Yeah.
So my frustration becomes. So this leads to my area of frustration, which is what the hell is going on here? Because if I could understand that people are comfortable in America because it's everything you know. I could really understand that to a certain extent. But what if you're gonna stay in America? Why be in their cities? Why go to their schools?
Right.
The only reason the police can harass you is because you're there to be harassed.
Yep. Keep in line.
Right. No police department is gonna go 7 hours outside the city just to harass you.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? That they're not gonna do that. It's just too expensive, to be frank with you.
What about black people? Black people incorporating. We have black towns like in Florida and stuff like that. But what I've seen, I studied the black towns in America. The infrastructure is still in the hands of white. They're a town, right? But the infrastructure is in the hands of whites. Because
they didn't build it. They didn't build it. When I say, for example, in East Africa, there's all this wide open land, Oklahoma as well, as you pointed out. When I say, why can't we just get a group of black people? You go over there, you build everything. You build the school, you build all the infrastructure, you own all of it. They're not going to travel 7 hours outside of their city just to come harass you. The problem that I'm feeling is
police and fire department, and hospital system,
and nobody is stopping us from doing that. So after a while, you start to say, every time, and this is where people might get offended. Every time another brother or sister gets murdered, it's not the white person's fault anymore. It's our fault. Yeah. Right? So Ahmaud Arbery's blood is on our hands. It's not on that white guy.
What we need is this. And what gets me is this. It's back to the same old thing. Because I'm at the point I'm tired, right?
Here's my bald spot. I look terrible, but hey, I've been in quarantine, man. Not everybody got to go get a haircut. All right.
You're right,
I'm feeling bad. I'm the only guy with the fucked up hair, man. Like everybody's looking good, and I look like shit. Like, come on, man.
You're good, brother.
All right, go ahead.
The thing I have with this case is this, right? It's the same old dog and pony show. Okay, you got the new Black Panther Party showing up with guns,
right,
and stuff like that. And we know how this is going to end. It's okay. You're gonna make your threats. You were heard. They're gonna put themselves on social media. See, I was out there. I was on the front lines. You know what I'm saying? I was rising up. I'm not to mock the brothers and whatnot, but the thing is, I saw this movie before, in Ferguson. And the thing is, already now they're basically trying to do away with it. It's not. It's like.
Hey, Kyle, you brought up Ferguson. Like Black Lives Matter has completely derailed them. They completely disappeared.
Right? No, you know why? Because who you need to have? You need to have my brother Shaquem on, right? Shaquem and brother Mugudeen, the guy that got killed in Louisiana, Black Lives Matter they was the one who founded Black Lives Matter, right? But it was hijacked by a certain group with other nefarious things. I don't want to say.
Yeah. You can't say. Yeah, I got you.
You can't say that word. That group. You can't talk about that group. But the thing is, they had their own agenda. They weren't caring about that. Mahudeen and all these other people were out there talking about Black Lives Matter and everything. And Ferguson was like this. Everybody basically got headlines. All you have to do is got ahead. Now, 10 years from now, right? 20 years from now, they'll be like, everybody will be writing their book. See, I was on the front lines of Ferguson. Everybody was out self-promoting. Everybody out there. I've seen so many dudes with this clicking, clicking, hold a sign, clicking, I was in Ferguson, put the headline there, see? So they can basically tell everyone out that they got a book and they got this.
Kyla, Black Lives Matter failed because it had no structure, it had no goals, it had no discipline. It was a fad.
It was a fad. I thought I said that.
Okay. And so the reality is, because of the fact it had none of those things, it was therefore able to be defined by others.
Yeah.
But the reality is we could create all of these movements that we want. Black Lives Matter fell away. Me Too just fell away. They always fall away. But if we want to actually make a change, listen, maybe I say, first of all, going to Africa is probably your best bet. Yeah. But if you're not going to do that, all right, fine. Why are you still living?
How do we make, I think, like I said, I'm working, you probably know, with people in Angola. That's my, right? All right. Now, how do we get to the point where, even though we're going to have a lot of success in Africa and everything like that, why is it that we still, with all the platforms and everything like that right here and everything, people don't even, I would like people to give us 10% of their attention, say, okay, if not for us right now, think about 20 years goes by just like that. What if we were investing in these areas in Africa we're trying to build, and 20 years from now, people ain't thinking about, Black people don't think 20 years from now. They ain't thinking about their kids. They're not thinking about the future like other people do. Jews are planning for their kids, their grandkids, their posterity to keep it going. They say,
that's true.
Black people like this, man. Our family right here, my family had a lot of land in North Carolina. I didn't get none of that. By the time my aunts and everybody got their piece and everything like that, it was nothing for my generation, to inherit.
Right.
So there was nothing passed on. It's not a posterity. What is it about Black men? Saying we don't basically. We don't believe in ourselves. Every other people look.
I can tell you what's up with Black men. I was having this discussion with one of the board members of our organization right now. I'm not going to say her name, but we were just having this discussion of Black men and what's the issue. And I'm going to tell you what the issue with Black men is, and it's going to maybe be controversial, but I'm going to have to keep it real. What drives men of every race, when you are young, is sexual conquest.
Yes.
Okay. And that's not a bad thing. I hate that people. That's what drives the men of every race. Every race. Black men is no different. Now, let me continue on with my thought pattern. Within our community, there is something called a man shortage, as in like literal numerical man shortage. Straight homosexual Black males, right? Just to start, there's 2 million less Black men than there are Black women. Okay, that's just starting. Then you have the fact that 30% of Black men end up in prison with criminal records. Okay, Then you add into the fact that there's currently 2 million more black men in prison right now. So we're talking about 1/3 of those that walk in the street are felons. Then you have 2 million in the prison system right now as we speak. Then we're not even talking about the homosexual ones, which is quite a large in number because of that being pushed on our society and being accepted by our women, unfortunately. Then the top elite black men, which is only 7%, 30% of them marry outside of their race. They marry outside of their race because not enough suitable partners for them to get
And we
with.
don't
And
want to replicate our African genes. You know
it's not even that. No,
you
that's
don't think that's it? We don't care about our black
no,
women?
it's not. Listen, I can speak. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I'm gonna say, screw it. I'll be arrogant. I am what I would be in that 7%, and it's not a matter of not wanting to replicate your black genes. It's a matter of to be a black man, to come from the inner city environments that most of us come from, right? And then to find a way to become successful despite all of the numerous amount of obstacles you will have to overcome. And then you find a way to become successful. Now, remember, I'm not talking about a rapper or an athlete. I'm talking about a person who builds a business, becomes a great lawyer, something to that effect. For you to become that human being, you have to be a different type of human being. You have to have a certain level of arrogance, self-belief that is beyond most of your colleagues. Once you get to that level, right, in your mind, and I can speak for myself personally, you feel like you have earned the right to not have to deal with anything that you don't want to deal with. Does that make sense? Yeah. Unfortunately, within our community, due to social brainwashing, our sisters have been told that they need to be a strong black woman, which they do. They have a lot of things that happen to them. But what comes with being a strong black woman is the inability to submit to authority. Yeah. Now, this is not all of our sisters. It's just a large number of them. Well, if I'm a wealthy, successful black man, you know what I don't want to deal with? An argumentative female. So I know that's offensive to a lot of sisters, but that's also a fact. Yeah. Right. And so that's why a lot of them date out.
African girls. That's why I like African women.
Yeah. And so I think what I'd like to see happen is for men to do similar to what I did. And that is to go to Africa. And that is to go and find a black woman outside of the United States. Yeah. So you don't have to necessarily
I think we have no choice. I really think.
Wait. That's not all black women. That's just a lot of them.
You know what I'm saying? Nothing against my sisters here. I love them. You know what I'm saying? Beautiful. Like I said, my office, right next to my office, 2 down is a beauty salon, right? I was there this afternoon. I just go there on Saturdays because I like seeing what comes in and out. You know what I'm saying? And it'll be
black women are beautiful.
But I
absolutely gorgeous.
Right? I can't get, look, the bottom line, they're on their cell phones. And they got their Instagrams and they got their,
right.
There's no, you know what I'm saying? It's like this. Like now when they turn 70, suddenly, hey, Kala, I'm ready for you. I'm like, you're 70.
Right. Well, I mean, I can't speak to that. I'm not dashingly handsome, but I'm handsome enough, excluding my bald spot here. But what I'm saying to you is that's what happens, right? I mean, Dynast, you're an elite level male. Do you want to deal with an argumentative woman?
No.
Exactly. So like that's what happens. Now, that's not what we're talking about. But so unfortunately, it leads to the result of 30% of elite black men dating out. So it leads to that result. I get all of this to come back to this. What that therefore leaves is a lot of men that would in other groups not have access to a lot of females, i.e. losers, end up being able to get women, beautiful women, black women, simply because of the fact that they don't have enough available options to choose from. So what happens is you end up in a situation where it demotivates the general black populace because now a younger black man coming up says, I don't have to be that successful to get a beautiful woman because look at this chump. He's got all of this, you know what I'm saying? And that's because of a man shortage. Now there's also cultural issues, but I'm saying on a practical level, the man shortage leads to that. What would probably solve the issue with black men, right? And no one wants to agree with this, and I know Dynast now officially disagrees with me on this, is polygamy. Because LeBron James is no longer competition to the average black man. Under a polygamous system, LeBron James is.
But you gotta have money. Polygamy means money. You gotta have money. You have that wealth,
Of course it does. But you know what? It also will create a situation where it becomes a competitive environment amongst males to acquire mates. Because now, if I don't work hard, if I don't find a way to get it, I'm not going to get nobody. I'm not going to get to reproduce myself, which is the fundamental drives of human nature, right? And so your elite men would have more than one wife, which would be natural. And then a lot of the bottom of the shelf men that are currently getting women right now would suddenly not get them. Because
let me ask you a question, Lou.
Sure, buddy.
Remember when that in Haiti we had the earthquake, right? Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
One thing I was surprised and proud of was remember when men were trying to find their wives, and I'm saying to myself, these guys don't have nothing but my wife. But what I'm like, and these
the Haitian culture, family, and women and wives are very important.
Like, look at these guys. All these guys had wives.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I was like, yo, what the heck? I was like,
just so you know, Haiti's a polygamous society.
Yeah, the guy was like, I was with my wife, and everything like that. Pure, oh yeah, I gotta get her, my family, and whatnot. I was like, these were young men with families. These guys in their 20s,
right?
With families. I was like,
I could tell you as a person who's part of who is Haitian and Haiti is a polygamous society. Feel free to look it up. It does drive you as a man to do more.
Yeah,
it drives you as a man to work harder to find a way to succeed, because at the end of the day, your ability to succeed, provide, and lead is going to be directly correlated with your ability to find a wife. Versus in Black America, because of the man shortage, right? I don't have to work very hard. I'm still going to get some, right? Because the women don't have a choice. And so what you end up having is these high quality women in terms of credentials. They may have severe personality defects, you don't know, but at least in terms of credentials, maybe they're doctors, they're lawyers, highly decorated in those ways, are single because there's not enough men to meet the demand. Yeah. Polygamy would solve that problem.
Women need a whole array of men. They need to pick and choose among them, and it is not, the pickings are not really there with Black men.
But that's a numbers issue, and then we could get into the cultural things. But even if we regulated our culture as a whole and got people focusing on school, there would still be a major man shortage, and women would still get the short end of the stick. Right now, we have a ratio in the Black community of 3 straight women to every 1 straight man. Yeah. And then out of those 1 straight men, those men are not even, there's a very small percentage of them that's high value, right? So how is that fair to women if you're limiting their choices to what's available rather than limiting their choices to what they actually want? Because I bet you if you asked, 100 Black women alone, not in front of people, would you rather be LeBron James's second or third wife or or Tyrone's first wife? Which one would you prefer? I think out of that 100, 90 to 95 is going to say, I'd rather be LeBron James's second or third wife. But that option is not available to them due to the fact that we as Black people continue to try to subjugate ourselves to a white man's system, which is inherently stupid. Now, of course, there's all types of stupidity happening within the Black community, but I'm trying to talk above that and say, just on a pragmatic term, even if our culture was completely perfect, we didn't have these issues, we would still need polygamy to solve some of these problems. We kill 1 million of our kids a year through abortion. 1 million. If there was no abortion,
what about the extended family? The extended family system. I noticed that. I see modern houses in Africa, right? Remember something, in the 1950s, before the 1950s.
Africa is also a polygamous society. I just like that pointed out, by the way.
What I'm saying is this. This is what point I'm trying to make. Before the 1950s, after World War II, they started building. They said, we're going to reshape America, right? So all houses were built with 3 bedrooms, 1 bath, whatever, 1.2 kids. That was a social engineering at post World War II,
Right.
At Levistown, stuff like that. Before that, I remember a whole two families could live in one house in places like Elizabeth City, North Carolina, even in DC. And when the houses were big, and you may have an aunt living on the 3rd floor and stuff like that, And so people, there was space, and we all lived together. I think we tried. Like my family was 2 parents, whatever, like that. 2 parents, and everything. But I think about it. I'm saying, what about? Then I had cousins, right, in the South, right. And it was like many generations living under one roof, right? And they're like, and then we would always call them country bumpkin. Oh yeah, He lives over here. We would have homesteads in Elizabeth City and Weeksville, North Carolina. We have homesteads where you have like 4 or 5 houses, a trailer on one property. You know what I'm saying? And that's the way it was. Everybody ate, or we have a Sunday dinner over here, or whatever like that. You know, we have a fish fry, whatever like that. But when we moved to New York, you know, and we want to fit in, and we're trying to be modernized the family started to change. People didn't just drop by your house anymore, you know? So I remember when I was a kid, my grandma used to take me around Elizabeth City. In summertime, go down there, and she would say, "Oh, Emma Jane, come in," whatnot, you know? And people just won't call you. There was no phones. We didn't have to call nobody, say I'm coming over. We just show up, you know, and everybody just said the other thing, you know. So I think the modernization in many parts of Black America didn't catch up, because, like I said, even if a girl did have a child at wedlock, you know, the kid would go to some relative that would raise that child. I had a lot of cousins that were raised by aunts and everything that weren't theirs and everything, you know, and stuff like that.
Well, that is by design, and that's been at work for over 500 years, and that's not racial. The idea of monogamy and the nuclear family came out of the Catholic Church back in 1501 by the Borgia Pope who was there at the time. And the reason that he did that and he instituted that had nothing to do with religion, and had everything to do with the limitation of concentrations of power and wealth in any one family's hands. So it is easy to control a family when it is just 2 people and a few kids, when it's small, especially if it's small and isolated from each other. Large families that are united are huge wealth-building vehicles and are incredibly powerful and uncontrollable.
Yeah.
So now I'm not speaking conspiracy theory. What I'm saying is actual facts. If you'd like, I would be happy to provide documentation for all of this. But the entire goal of governments globally is to try to move people into cities, okay, to minimize the size of families, to make people more dependent on large institutions, i.e., the ideal society for some people to ensure power would be the average person doesn't know how to hunt, doesn't know how to use a weapon, doesn't know how to farm, has very little to no land, and has a small family to no family at all. Because what that then creates is a society that can be easily controlled, especially if you could have them all in one place.
Yeah, well,
that's why
now. That's why you have these girls now
mega cities
dating. They're basically having those friend lonely thing, using them their things to make money on Instagram and
OnlyFans.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because something like that can only work in a society that's created like that. Okay, because I'm going to ask everybody on the chat here. If you have a family, let's say the family itself is, say, 25 deep, and they live on one big-ass piece of land. They grow their own food, they provide their own water, they get their own electricity, they hunt their own meat, right? And they own their own businesses. Can you control that family?
No.
Exactly. Versus a family that lives in an apartment in Manhattan, has to go to the grocery store for all their food, has to pay an electric bill to provide electricity, have to pay a water bill, and doesn't own a business, works for some corporation. Can you control that family?
Yeah, of course you can. Take his job away, take his electricity away, take his water away. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. So you're going to see a system that's going to emerge that is going to encourage a lifestyle that creates dependency. So it's going to encourage you to live in cities. It's going to encourage you to have nuclear families, maybe one wife, a few kids, and less children. Of course, you got to have less children. And it's going to make it harder for you to start businesses, right? And it's going to train you your whole entire life to think that you got to get the one wife, and it's going to romanticize. It's going to tell women that super alpha male who's banging supermodels when you meet him, he's going to stop banging supermodels because he's going to be so in love with you that he's going to go and get you and marry you and be with you forever. So you sell females this dream. I call it chick porn. Then you sell males another dream that you're going to get some woman who's like a porn star and is going to do all this nasty stuff you want, and she's going to cook, and she's going to clean. So you sell both sides a dream so that they think that the other person actually believes that I could get everything, all my fulfillment met in one person.
Wow.
Right? And women start expecting that they can find that alpha male who's going to be just them. which, by the way, that would mean that human beings would operate completely different than every other mammal species on the planet, aside from penguins, which are an anomaly. No mammal is monogamous. It is literally unhealthy for a species to be monogamous because it does not ensure that the best genetics pass on to the next generation, right? So it creates a scenario where unfit men get to reproduce that over time diminishes the gene pool, which is why on a biological level, men are actually becoming less masculine each generation. Like men in this new generation have less testosterone. That's a fact. Go look it up. Anybody can look this up. Testosterone has been dropping in men. Actual testosterone levels has been dropping in men for the past 100 years. That means a man born today is less of a man than a man born 100 years ago. And that's just how far we've been able to track it and test it. Some believe that this has been going on for hundreds of years, right? So
Yeah,
what we're literally doing is we're diminishing the
nothing like the German like 150 years ago. You know, those guys. The German today is flaky, whatever like that. You go to Spain, or just like these countries once conquered the world. How that men so soft, you know, and so
because you have an unfit men being able to reproduce under a forced monogamous system that is, by the way, more repressive to women than it is to men, because it makes men have access to reproduction capability that they otherwise would not have to, and it forces women to not take the best, but to take what's left. Right? They might be able to be more attractive enough to get better than what they end up with, which is why when you look at a lot of married couples, the woman is always substantially more attractive than the man. Right? Guy marries up in beauty because he shouldn't be getting married in the first place. She marries down because that's all she's got available to her. Now, in the Black community, this is profoundly worse. This is profoundly worse due to the man shortage to begin with, then all of the social constructs that are in place to destroy Black men. Now, with all of that being said, it leads us back to the original topic and my original position. We've been trying to apply these systems to ourselves in terms of trying to live like the white man, live amongst the white man, work for the white man, go to the white man's institutions. That has not worked. That has failed miserably. So my question is, if you're not going to go to Africa, fair enough. Africa is not for everybody. But what the hell are you still trying to do the exact same things that has failed for now 6 decades?
Yeah. They're still trying to do a Cosby Show all over again.
Why not just build your own societies, your own communities? And it would probably be cheaper. It would be cheaper to do that. I have a dream. I'm not Dr. Martin Luther King, but I actually have a dream. I have a dream one day that I could build a large enough following, and I'm dead serious about this, to move maybe 500 to 600 people to Africa. And in Africa, I want to build an actual town. And in that town, we have our own schools, we have our own electrical supplies, our own water supplies. We speak our own language.
Well, talk to me, Dynast, give me your information from Dynast. I'll put you on to some people.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But I'm not trying to build a new nation, just a new community.
Let me clarify something, right? About a new nation, right? I believe, right, that we could build enclaves, we could build towns, we could build states and everything within a whole society, right? It's no different than somebody saying, look at that territory in Montana, right? Let's go up there and build this. And next thing you know, you got this, you got industrial zones, you got this, that, and the other thing. You got civilization. You take land and build civilization, you know? So bottom line, my whole thing is I believe every African country has enough land that they could do it, because they're planning it now. That's what I'm talking about. They want to talk about bringing the diaspora back, something like a Dubai model and stuff like that. But I told them, I said, they got to get serious about this, because if Black people, I know Black people, once you're successful or I'm successful or whatever doing this, if people see that they can actually settle, build, own land, everything, it'll be irreversible, right? And then now change the narrative of being Black in America. In other words, basically, Black people know they have other options. That's the difference between Black people in America and any other Black people in the world. You know, Black people in America have no options outside of America, and we think like that. You know, that's why we accept all the bullshit that we go through. We have no option. We just sit back and just let it happen. You know, We sit back. We don't have any political options. You know, we have no economic options.
But that's what I'm trying to say to you. You do have an option. This is what I actually am starting to come to conclude. This is what I'm actually starting to conclude. Excluding maybe a small percentage of black people, I think a majority of black people, and I may be wrong on this, I think a majority of black people simply do not want to go through the work. This is not I think there's some inferiority complex in there, but I'm starting to think.
No, just say it. Black people, a lot of black people lazy.
Well, I don't know if it's a lazy thing, but it's what it is. It's like, because here's the deal. If you went and bought 1,000 acres in East Texas for very little money, you would have to go to East Texas. You'd have to build the roads. You'd have to drill for the water. You'd have to build the houses. You'd have to build all the infrastructure. You'd have to build the governmental structure. You'd have to do all of that work.
And then now that, Luke, check this out. You have, like I said, the first thing you do, you create a municipal land bond, like how Brooklyn was built. You know what I'm saying? They had whole land bonds, right? Where men like Stuyvesant and stuff like that own whole section. Everything that came after that. There's people that got so much wealth. The original builders that own the bonds of cities in the Northeast and whatnot, their family is so rich, they get money, royalties like you won't believe. They had land, and now everybody, every whole skyscraper, everything is paying these families royalties. They're living in the Caymans, they're living all over Zurich, all over the world. You know what I'm saying? And they still get royalties and whatnot. Why? Because the initial bond was, okay, we have a bond, right? The people invest in that bond, right, like that. How the city pays for that bond, the bond builds the initial infrastructure, right? When you're building this infrastructure, the tax revenue, the taxes on businesses, estate tax, everything like that will first pay off the bond, right, as it matures, right? And then second of all, give you a probability of expansion to build on other things, the Brooklyn Bridge and all the stuff like that. You know, you have to have and what that takes is you have to black people. This is the part Africa has to get. You have to basically understand what the modern that came from the Magna Carta. You know what I'm saying? The modern real estate laws. You know what I'm saying? Modern real estate laws allows for that. You know, okay, you on this land now it's a city. It's incorporated as a city. The city has a power to collect taxes, create police, all a magistrate court, and all stuff like that, right? And the most important thing is the city has a right to build and collect taxes and all stuff like that. You know, that's all it is. You know, it's a city and infrastructure is a tax revenue thing. You know, because all the goods and services that come in that city and state are taxed. You know what I'm saying? All the commerce, everything.
And that's my point.
And that's why you tax.
And it wouldn't cost that much money neither. That's what's frustrating.
No.
But we make the point that so what that leads to one to believe is this is not a money issue. I now know that. I used to actually think it was a money.
No, it's not money. It's not money.
But I've now been proven that it is not a money issue. Okay, it is not a talent issue neither.
Oh, no,
okay. So what it's coming down to is it seems like for whatever reason, what we really say every time an Ahmaud Arbery dies, and we allow the same chain to happen. Here's what you're actually saying to the world. We would rather take abuse.
Yep.
We would rather be beaten in the streets, humiliated on a day-to-day basis. Are women overly sexualized or men criminalized? We would rather be dehumanized than to do for ourselves.
Yeah. And that's the argument going forward, right?
Now here's the deal. If that's what we say to the world, right, then we cannot be angry when they don't respect you.
They don't.
See, one of the things I hate is, like, for example, people say, I don't like the Chinese. I don't like the Mexicans. I don't like this group. I don't like that group because I
don't like Jews. Why don't you follow what the Jews do?
Well, exactly. But understand, why do they see you the way that they do? Because I'm going to tell you something. If I was a Jewish person, if I was a Chinese person, and I saw a group of people constantly allow themselves to be disrespected and abused, but keep saying, please integrate me. I want to be integrated. I get some money, and then you immediately move into their community and raise your kids in their school. If I was a person of another race, I wouldn't respect black people neither.
You
can't ask somebody to give you something that you're not willing to give yourself.
Right.
If you don't respect yourself, then you can't ask anybody to respect you. Let me put it to you like this. You see a guy like Jason Tatum, who just went on after what Ahmaud Arbery and in essence just flat out lied about, try to justify what this white man did.
Yeah.
He literally lied and misinterpreted law.
Yeah.
If Ahmaud Arbery was Jewish and Jason Tatum was Jewish and he did that, he'd be dead.
Yeah.
Somebody would have showed up at his house and would have put a bullet in his head. I know this.
You too.
I don't think I'm saying anything out of bounds. I know this because in the past, in history, this has happened before. There's a word for them in the Jewish community. This has happened before with Italians. This has happened before with every other racial group. You betray the community in that way, you pay for it. You understand? We're letting this guy's got 2 million views on that video. So we're not only not punishing him for it, we're letting them get rich off of it. Now, at some point, we got to start asking ourselves a question. Why should anybody respect us? You have to start being honest. We got to stop getting mad and emotional here because this is not about emotion. Most of life is about business. That's what I've learned.
Yeah.
Most of life is just about business.
I always say, me, this is what I say, right? My humble opinion, right? When I talk about Pan-African or Black national, it's business, you know? It's not
It's
emotion.
all business.
It's not
That's
emotion.
all it is. It's not personal.
It's
White
not
folks are going to do to you, they're going to do what they're going to do to you because they can do it to you, man. It's a jungle out here.
Let me ask you a question, Lou, then. When you said that if a group of people always abuse themselves, do you think that's having a way that a lot of Africans are seeing African Americans? You know?
Yeah, I know it does. Listen, I've got a lot. Listen, Africans actually love African Americans, but they're also very disappointed.
All this stuff and getting our ass whooped and not doing
and they're not wanting to come back home. Like that's what really gets a lot of Africans personally that I've encountered. It's like they see this because a lot of them didn't even know. Like for a long time, they had no idea any of this shit was happening. They thought black people was in America living well because they saw hip hop videos and the Bentleys and all that. They're like, oh yeah, these guys are living well. It's only recently that they started finding out what's actually going on. You see, and what they see is like, well, why don't these people just come back home? And then when they find out that not only are they not coming back home, but they've got a personal beef against Africa, like
not only that, they think they're indigenous moles.
Right. That's what you start to see. That's where you start to see the lack of respect because it's like not you. First of all, they feel betrayed. From my conversations with them, they feel like they're being betrayed by Black Americans because it's like, look, come home. You don't have to take this. Just come home. Not only come home, bring your knowledge, bring your experience, and use it here where we'll value it and put us to work. We know that you're smarter than us. We know that you know more than us. Come home. Build businesses, put us to work. And then when they see that you don't do that, that you look down on them, but they see you taking all this abuse, then they're like, then there's something wrong with these people.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? Like we and then we'll say stuff like, oh, well, the Africans hate us. No, they don't. You hate you. You understand? Stop saying other people hate you. No, you hate you. Now, I could go negative all day long. What I'm going to say positive is this is all over my house. I literally make my child say it every day. Life doesn't happen to you. Life happens for you. So on some level, I could put a positive spin on all of the negative experiences of Black people. I could put a positive spin on everything that we've got going on that's happened to us from slavery to Jim Crow. I believe that has made us stronger as human beings when we finally get our act together. But the reality, the very harsh reality is white people are doing what they do to you because they know they can. It's no different. And if you want to understand how Black people are viewed, this is going to be the best analogy I can give you. Everybody on this chat went to high school, and we all remember that kid who got made fun of by everybody. The punk, the lowest level kid. You remember that kid, Dynas, in high school?
Yep.
Right? We all remember him. And guess what? We might have even had private conversations with that kid and thought, man, that kid's not even a bad kid. He's kind of cool. But none of us want to be friends with him.
Yeah, nobody wants to take the step out and be like, oh, he's cool. No.
Nobody wants to be friends with him because they don't want to be in his status.
Right. Oh, yeah.
We as Black people were that kid.
Patrick, when I say He swore he
Right.
tried. My friend was like, "Hey, we go." At a lunch table one night, all of a sudden they were like, I said, "Oh no, he's gonna come sit next to me one night." Next thing I had to go someplace else, man. You know what I'm saying? Because why? Because
But Patrick never did anything to you.
No.
You just didn't want to be around him because it's the rules of the jungle.
Yeah.
And what we got to understand is that the world, okay, this concept of laws, rule of law, rules, morals, all these things are myths. They were invented to keep society in control. But when we start talking about nation states, the world, none of those things apply, man. All right, like America does whatever the hell it wants, man. It doesn't matter if it's legal or not. Do you know how many times America went and bombed some nation? You had other nations saying this is against international law.
Yeah.
Right? Because the reality is this is a jungle. Race is the same. It's a jungle. Everybody's trying to get theirs. Right there, nobody's trying to integrate with somebody. Everybody's trying to get theirs. And the problem is we continue to try to integrate with people who will not integrate with us for their own interests. We keep trying to integrate with them. We keep trying to get them to like us, and they keep shooting us down in the streets. And then we wonder when other people see that, why they don't respect us. You don't respect yourself. You can't ask somebody to give you something that you don't give the
epicenter of that is New York City. You know what I'm saying? Black people in New York think that but I have never, honestly, when I see how cops can come up and just knock a grown man in his face and tell him to get off the street, talk to him any kind of way and everything. I mean, my God, that's what they.
Then how does that? Now ask yourself this question: how does that man go home and talk to his wife with any level of authority?
No, he can't.
When he's gonna let somebody come into his territory and bitch him like that.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And the bottom
you
line,
understand what I'm saying? Like this whole thing of, man, I can't go for a jog. I can't do this. The fact that we ever making that statement is a problem to me.
Yeah, it is.
Because look, we can't do anything violently. We don't have, we're too small because we've been killing our kids for the past 25 years, 30 years through abortions at a clip of a million a year. So there's only 40 million of us. All right, fair enough. But at the very least, what you can do is pick up your ball and go someplace else and say, you know what, man, you could have Detroit. You could have LA.
What I don't get is, even if we don't what about a pipeline? What about a vessel? What about tourism? What about buying a second home on the continent? An escape, a pipeline, knowledge, technology transfer. All those things are vast. A whole giant continent out there. And we could build.
This is Kyle, this is not a shameless plug. I promise. I did not come over here to talk about anything I'm doing personally, but I am going to say we are solving that. Me and Michael, and this group this awesome group that I'm part of, we're actually opening up a bank, and the entire bank's focus is going to be to provide diasporans loans to acquire real estate in Africa.
Right.
So there is going to be a solution
I'm
on
here with you
that.
because I talked to Michael the other day for 3 hours.
Right. I mean, that's not what this conversation is about. So I don't want to. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. There are solutions that are coming for that. But my point is, either way, I banged my head for 5 years because I couldn't get black people to put money in my fund to invest in Africa for 5 years until recently. So, what I'm saying is, at some point, we gotta start telling the truth, man. There's a whole bunch of realities we gotta start dealing with. We gotta start dealing with our fear, because all of this comes down to fear.
Fear.
It's all fear.
It's all fear.
All of it. And you know what fear is? I'm gonna tell you what fear is. Fear is the emotion of a slave. The only way a person can be enslaved, the only way a person can ever be enslaved, and I know nobody's gonna want to hear this, is if they allow themselves to be. And the only way that person would allow themselves to be is that they would say that to live as a slave is better to die as a free man. And the only reason that a person would come to that conclusion is because of a fear of death. So your fear is what allows you to stay in a state of slavery.
Yep.
So when Kanye said that slavery was a choice and we all got mad, you know why you got mad? Was because you know in your heart of hearts it was true. And you were mad that somebody actually said it. And you were even more mad that it was somebody that you admired and respected. Mm-hmm. But what you really should understand is the fact that he had the balls to say it means that he really gives a shit about us.
Mm-hmm.
Because he could have said nothing and let you keep buying his shoes for $300-400 a pop. He could have said nothing and keep paying all this money to go to his shows or pay $120 for a T-shirt. But he didn't. He got on national TV and he said that slavery was a choice, because it was. And it was a choice not because of the fact that people are bad. It was a choice because our ancestors who were enslaved made an active decision that it is better to live as a slave than to die as a free person. I'm not trying to elevate my people over anybody else. My ancestors in Haiti, they made the opposite choice. It is better to die as a free person than to live another day as a slave. And you know what happened? They got their freedom, but they have been punished. They have been punished since 1804 for that.
Yep.
And an example has been made out of them. But at the end of the day, they paid that price. I don't know if you talk to some Haitians, some will say that was a bad decision. You talk to some Haitians and it's a source of pride. But ultimately, what that says to me is Haitians are black just like Americans are black. Black Americans are black. So it's not a genetic thing. It's just two people on two different parts just made a decision. And within America, there was tons of rebellions. Nat Turner was one of them. And again, it's the idea of what's your choice? Are you willing? A lot of us are descendants of people who said it's better for me to just stay a slave than to die as a free person. That's what you come from. That's where a lot of us come from. So that fear is almost from on a genetic level. And it takes a lot of effort and work to overcome that fear, because it is that fear that keeps us enslaved today. Because only a slave would rather take abuse and disrespect and dehumanization than to go and do for themselves. Yep. Only a slave would allow their homeland and the value of their homeland to be identified for. You know what America is? This is what America is to a black person. America to a black person is like sitting on the passenger side of a Ferrari. Yeah. So you're inside the Ferrari. You're feeling the luxury of the Ferrari. But if you decided to change the radio station, if you wanted to change the radio station, the driver of the Ferrari, the white man, could say, "Hey, we listen to Blake Shelton inside of this car." If you want to go left and that white man wants to go right, guess where you're going? You're going right. If that Ferrari is red, but you prefer it to be blue, well, there ain't a damn thing you can do. You want to adjust the seat, he's going to say, "Hey, I need my seat that way." So you're going to have to just figure out a way to make it work. You know what Africa is? Africa is an old beat-up Camry. But it's your beat-up Camry. Because when you hop inside that beat-up Camry, you could adjust the seat. You could change the radio station to whatever radio station you want to listen to. And then you could take that bad boy home. You could pull out the engine. You could work on it a little bit. Maybe replace that engine with a new 2,000 horsepower engine. You could go ahead and change the paint to some candy paint, get some spoilers on it, throw some rims on it, new system, new seats. And now next thing you know, after a little bit of hard work, you got yourself a brand new car. And you see that Ferrari again, you can say, "Let's race."
Amen. Hey, bros, I got to get off the line because I got to.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Luke Major, for coming on.
No problem.
Blessing us with some knowledge and stuff like that. And I will probably get a hold of you through Michael Jackson, you know what I'm saying?
No problem, buddy.
All right?
No problem.
All right, so, but I got to get off the line. I got a conference call, and now they're lining up now. And I'll talk to y'all later. It was a great show. And remember, check me out, Gangsterville Radio. You can see the thing Wednesday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern time. This week we're going to be talking about Liberia. I have a Liberian guest on, you know, and I'm going to have some Liberian music and everything like that, you know. And we had a big blowout of Liberia. We got to save this country, you know. And the bottom line is things are getting worse. You know, and we have to basically, so I'm going to bring an expert on. We're going to talk about that. Then I'm going to clip the show up. It's going to be on Spotify and everything like that. So we're going to start this conversation all over again. Hey, I got Michael Jackson on the line right now. He's ready. Yeah. They're ready for me. All right.
Pleasure talking to you. Thank you for having me on, Dynasty. Dynasty, keep doing what you're doing.
All right. I'm gonna send you a message, Lou, when we hang up. So, but on the phone, WhatsApp.
Okay, buddy. Take care.
All right. Yes, sir. Everyone, thank you so much for joining Like, share, subscribe. Make sure you go to dynastymir.com, everyone. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Till next time, Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.